The evening was calm in their Atlanta apartment. The rain outside tapped gently on the window as Darius scrolled through his phone, smiling at the pictures his sister had sent. "Look at my niece, babe," he said warmly. "She's growing so fast." Janelle didn't glance up. She sat cross-legged on the couch, editing a photo shoot on her laptop. "She's cute, Darius," she said, her voice flat. "But let's not start that conversation." He frowned. "What conversation?" "The baby one," she said without looking up. He set his phone down. "You don't want kids?" She sighed heavily and finally met his gaze. "No, I don't. Not now. Maybe not ever. I don't want to lose my figure or spend my life cleaning up after anyone." Her tone was calm but firm. Darius stared at her in disbelief. "Janelle, we've been married 3 years. You never said this before." She shrugged. "I didn't know how to tell you. But I've thought about it a lot. I just don't want to get old before my time." He leaned back, stunned. "So, that's it? You'd rather stay young than raise a family?" "Exactly," she said simply. "I love you, but I love my life too." That night, Darius couldn't sleep. The words replayed in his mind like an echo that refused to fade. Janelle slept soundly beside him, her skin glowing under the dim light of the city skyline that poured through their window. He whispered softly, "What happened to us?" When they met, she had been ambitious but sweet, full of laughter, kindness, and dreams of a home filled with love. Somewhere along the line, that tenderness had hardened into vanity. In the morning, she acted like nothing had happened. "Coffee?" she asked casually. He nodded, watching her move gracefully across the kitchen. "You really meant what you said last night?" She sighed. "Yes, Darius. Don't make it dramatic." "I'm not making it dramatic. He trailed off. "I thought we wanted the same things." "People change," she replied quietly. "I just don't want to lose myself to motherhood." The tension grew. At his mother's birthday dinner, everyone laughed and teased them lovingly. "When are y'all giving me some grandbabies?" Mama Williams asked with a hopeful grin. Darius smiled awkwardly. "We're working on it." Janelle quickly interrupted. "We're focusing on our careers right now." Mama Williams frowned slightly. "Honey, career won't keep you warm when you're old." Janelle chuckled dryly. "Neither will kids who move out and forget you exist." The laughter around the table died. Darius felt heat rush to his face. After the dinner, he confronted her in the car. "Why would you say that?" She looked out the window. "Because it's true. People act like kids are the answer to everything. They're not." He clenched his jaw. "You embarrassed me, Janelle." "Then maybe your family should stop asking questions about my womb," she snapped. The following weeks were filled with cold silence. Darius buried himself in work, staying late at the firm just to avoid going home. One night, he returned unexpectedly and found Janelle on a video call with her friends. "Girl, no kids for me," she laughed. "I like my sleep and my shape just fine." He waited until she hung up, then said quietly, "So that's really how you feel?" She looked startled. "How long have you been standing there?" "Long enough. I'm just being honest, Darius. And I'm just realizing how selfish you've become." Her eyes narrowed. "Selfish? For knowing what I want." He exhaled slowly. "Marriage is about compromise. But you don't compromise, you control." That night, he slept on the couch. At the suggestion of a friend, they started seeing a marriage counselor. The therapist, a gentle older woman named Dr. Brooks, listened carefully to both sides. "Janelle," she said softly, "what scares you most about becoming a mother?" Janelle hesitated. "Losing myself." losing my independence, my body, my career. Dr. Brooks nodded. And Darius? He spoke quietly. I fear dying without a legacy, without a family. The therapist leaned forward. You both have fears rooted in love, hers for self-preservation, yours for meaning. The challenge is finding a bridge. They tried. They attended every session. But as weeks passed, Janelle's answers never changed. One day, Dr. Brooks told Darius privately, sometimes love isn't enough if your life visions don't align. Darius spent more time at the office, avoiding the emotional battlefield of their home. One evening, his co-worker Keisha noticed. You okay? You've been off lately. He forced a smile. Marriage stuff. Want to talk about it? She asked gently. He hesitated. My wife doesn't want kids. Ever. Keisha sighed. That's rough. You can't force someone to want a family. I know, he said, looking down. But I can't stop wanting one either. She placed a comforting hand on his arm. Don't lose yourself trying to keep someone who's already chosen herself. That night, he drove home in silence, torn between love and disappointment. It happened on a rainy Thursday. Darius got a call from an unknown number. Sir, this is Grady Hospital. Your wife's been in an accident. His heart stopped. He sped through traffic, praying aloud, God, please don't take her. When he reached the hospital, Janelle was conscious but trembling. A car ran the light, she whispered. He held her hand tightly. You're okay. That's all that matters. Tears streamed down her face. Darius, I thought I was going to die. I saw little kids running by before it happened, and for a second, I wished one of them was ours. He kissed her forehead. Rest, babe. We'll talk later. That night, she slept with his hand in hers for the first time in months. Recovery took weeks. Darius cared for her tirelessly, feeding her, helping her walk, combing her hair. You've been amazing, she said one morning, tears in her eyes. He smiled softly. That's what love does. She looked away, ashamed. I've been so blind. Maybe just scared, he said. She nodded. When I thought I'd lose everything, the only thing I wanted was you. For the first time, she saw motherhood not as a trap, but as a continuation of love. Darius, she whispered, if we ever have a baby, I'll love that child with everything in me. He smiled. That's all I needed to hear. 2 months later, Janelle had fully recovered. One evening, she came home holding a small white box. I got you something, she said shyly. He opened it. Inside were tiny baby shoes. He froze. Wait, are you? She nodded, tears streaming. We're pregnant, Darius. He hugged her tightly, overcome with emotion. Oh my God, you're serious? She laughed through tears. I'm scared but happy. Really happy. He looked at her lovingly. We're going to be parents. She whispered, and this time I'm ready. Pregnancy wasn't easy. Morning sickness, swollen feet, emotional swings. Janelle faced them all. One evening, she stood before the mirror, tears filling her eyes. Look at me, Darius. I'm losing myself. He came behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. You're not losing yourself. You're creating life. She buried her face in his chest. I don't feel beautiful anymore. He lifted her chin. You're more beautiful now than ever. She smiled weakly. I don't deserve you. He kissed her forehead. You deserve everything good. The labor was long and excruciating. Darius never left her side. Between screams, she shouted, You did this to me. He squeezed her hand and laughed through the tension. I know, babe. I'm sorry. After endless hours, A baby's cry filled the room. The doctor smiled. It's a boy. Janelle sobbed as the nurse placed the baby in her arms. He's perfect. Darius kissed her forehead, his eyes glistening. You both are. She looked up weakly. Thank you for not giving up on me. Motherhood transformed Janelle completely. The woman who once avoided responsibility now woke up at 2 a.m. to feed her baby, humming lullabies softly. Darius watched her with admiration. Who are you, and what did you do with my wife? She laughed quietly. She finally grew up. He smiled. I liked her before, but I love this version even more. Holding baby Caleb, she whispered, I never thought I could love someone this much. Darius replied softly, now you know what I've felt for you all along. With time, Janelle began to reconnect with family. She apologized to Darius's mother during Sunday dinner. Mama Williams, she said teary-eyed, I'm sorry for the way I spoke before. You were right. Children are blessings. Mama Williams hugged her warmly. Honey, you've learned what matters, and that's all that counts. Little Caleb gurgled in her lap, and laughter filled the room. For the first time in years, Darius felt peace. That night, Janelle whispered in bed, I used to think children would steal my freedom. But he gave me purpose. A year later, Janelle started designing again. But now, her focus was different. She launched a new clothing line called Mom Grace, elegant outfits for mothers celebrating beauty beyond youth. Her story went viral online. Motherhood didn't end my life, she said in interviews. It gave it color. At one of her shows, Darius sat proudly in the front row with Caleb on his lap. When she took the stage, he mouthed, I'm proud of you. She smiled back. We did this together. Years passed. Caleb grew into a cheerful boy with his father's warmth and his mother's confidence. On a Sunday afternoon, they sat in the backyard, watching him chase butterflies. Do you ever regret it? Darius asked softly. Janelle smiled. Never. You were patient when I wasn't ready. And now, I can't imagine life without him. He kissed her hand. You made me proud, Janelle. She leaned her head on his shoulder. And you made me a mother. They watched their son play, laughter echoing through the yard. The same woman who once feared motherhood now glowed with peace. And Darius realized, sometimes love isn't about changing someone. It's about waiting long enough for them to find themselves. 2 years after Caleb's birth, life seemed perfect on the surface. Laughter, family dinners, growing careers. But inside Janelle, doubts crept in again. Late at night, she stared at her reflection, touching faint stretch marks on her stomach. I've changed so much, she whispered. Darius noticed her distant mood. You okay, babe? She forced a smile. Yeah, just tired. But he knew that look, the same one from years ago. Talk to me, Janelle, he urged. Don't keep things bottled up. She sighed. Sometimes I miss the freedom we had. The nights out, the travel. I love Caleb, but I feel lost again. Darius held her close. You haven't lost yourself, Janelle. You've evolved. And I'll help you find your balance again. Her tears fell silently. Promise. He nodded. Always. Janelle's career began booming again. Big brands reached out for collaborations, and fashion shows invited her overseas. One night in New York, after a successful event, a charming investor named Vincent complimented her. You've built something powerful, he said, handing her champagne. Thank you, she smiled, feeling seen in a way she hadn't felt in a while. Over the next weeks, his texts became more frequent, casual at first, then suggestive. Darius noticed her late-night smiles at her phone. Who keeps texting you? Just business contacts, she said quickly. He didn't argue but felt a knot form in his stomach. That night, he whispered a prayer. Lord, keep my wife's heart steady. Weeks later, Darius confronted her gently. Janelle, you've been distant. I'm not accusing you, but something's changed. She froze. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I just miss you. Her anger melted as she saw the hurt in his eyes. I'm sorry, Darius. The attention, the glamour, it got to me. I forgot who I was for a moment. He reached for her hand. You don't have to apologize for being ambitious. But don't forget your home. Tears filled her eyes. You're right. I was chasing validation I already had here. He smiled softly. Then come home, Janelle. I need you. That night, she deleted Vincent's number and hugged her husband tightly. To rebuild trust and connection, Darius suggested a getaway. They left Caleb with his grandmother and drove to the mountains for a quiet weekend. At a small cabin, they sat by the fire, reminiscing about their early days. You remember our first date? Darius asked. She laughed. You ordered spicy wings and nearly cried. He chuckled. I was trying to impress you. They both laughed until tears came. Then she grew quiet. Thank you for never giving up on me. I don't know many men who'd wait this long for their wife's heart to catch up. He smiled warmly. You're worth every wait, Janelle. That night, under the soft glow of the fireplace, love felt new again. Months later, Janelle woke up feeling dizzy and emotional. Maybe it's stress, she thought, until the pregnancy test turned positive. She gasped, covering her mouth. No way. When Darius came home, she handed him a note. Guess what? Caleb's going to be a big brother. He froze, eyes wide. Are you serious? She nodded, laughing through tears. This one wasn't planned, but I think God planned it. He lifted her in his arms, spinning her around. This time, no fear. Just joy. She smiled, pressing her head against his chest. I'm ready for this. We're ready. And as they stood together, stronger, wiser, and more united, they finally understood that love isn't about avoiding change. It's about growing through it. 5 years later, the Williams family stood on the front porch of their new home. Caleb now 7, baby Ava running through the yard. Janelle's Mom Grace brand had expanded nationwide, known for celebrating motherhood with elegance. Darius had opened a family counseling center to help couples like them rediscover hope. Reporters once asked Janelle, "What changed your mind about children?" She smiled at the cameras. I didn't lose my youth. I gained my legacy. My husband's patience and God's grace taught me that motherhood isn't the end of beauty. It's the beginning of purpose. Darius wrapped an arm around her as Caleb shouted, Mom, Dad, come play. They looked at each other and laughed. The woman who once refused motherhood now found her deepest joy in it. And Darius, the man who prayed for a miracle, realized that love, when nurtured with faith and time, truly transforms hearts.